Hey, what's up guys? This is Austin Shout here and welcome back to another video. Today's video is an off-season Cardinals off-season review. So basically I'm going to be going over what's happened already in the off-season for the Cardinals and what I think should and might happen. Um, so we're going to start talking about the Cardinals last couple seasons. So in 2016 the Cardinals didn't do much. They got Jed Jerko, they got Mike Leake, and Eledmus Diaz had his really good rookie year. But the team did not make the playoffs. They did win 86 games. They didn't get eliminated to the final game of the year, and it was a good season, but they didn't make the playoffs. And ultimately, the Cubs ended up winning the World Series, and it was not good for the Cardinals. Oh yeah, they also picked up O that year. I am on MLB The Show, I'm just kind of on here, showing the names and stuff, who we might be going after. I don't know. I just decided to be kind of cool. Anyways, then we go to 2017. A lot happened. A lot of players came out of nowhere and were good, and a lot of players did terrible. Guys like Tommy Pham, who on the game now is a 92 overall, had a breakout year along with a guy by the name of Jose Martinez. Both really had good years, but a lot of guys struggled. Grichuk struggled, and Biscotti struggled. Fowler wasn't doing what we signed Fowler for. DeYoung came out of nowhere and was the next Diaz, and Diaz struggled. He played arguably worse in AAA than he did in the majors last year. Peralta was released like in the first month, so I don't even know why he's on the roster. But Jerko, he was about as what you expect from Jerko. He's a pretty consistent player. Wong, he was good. He didn't hit many home runs, but he was good overall. Garcia's a nice bench guy. Carpenter was not good. He was not good last year. He had a lot of home runs, but his average was low. His on base was okay. I think he should have been a leadoff hitter from day one. We got to see a little bit of Voit. We had Molina, had a really good year. Fryer he was released, and then Kelly is now the new backup. Now this off season, well, we're going to talk about last season, then we'll talk about what's going to go on this off season. But a lot of the young guys are going to be coming up this 2018 season. And we saw a guy like Luke Weaver also came out of nowhere and killed it for a month and a half. Lance Lynn was a bulldog last year, was really good. Waka was better. Martinez was electric. Wainwright, his ERA was terrible. His one loss was good. Anyways, basically what I'm trying to get at here is that there's a lot of guys that came out of nowhere and did good, and there's a lot of guys that did bad. And those guys, the ones that did bad involved Diaz, Biscotti, Grichuk, and then Carpenter struggled. Fowler didn't do what we wanted him to do. We wanted him to be that leadoff hitter that got on a lot, like basically what he did with the Cubs. But it didn't happen. The rotation struggled at times, but the biggest issue to a lot of people is the bullpen. This was the Cardinals' bullpen by the end of the season, minus Broxton. I think I edited some of these rosters to bring some of the old guys back, but Seung 1-0 was terrible. Cecil was terrible for about 80% of the year. Lyons was really good, but he's another one of those guys that came out of nowhere. Zach Duke was gone most of the year, so when he did come back from Tommy John, not the best. And then Nicasio was really good. And then Rosenthal was injured, and he wasn't that good. Obviously, there's some guys here like Bowman who are in the game are lower overalls, but Bowman, Brebbia, Tuivalala, in real life, these guys are better in their game overalls. And I think those will be edited by time 18 comes out. But even with that being the case, there's about like 4 guys on here that are reliable. And that's Lyons, Brebbia, Bowman, and Tuivalala. And then Cecil ain't going anywhere. But I think the Cardinals need to add a new closer, in my opinion. But we're not going to get into that yet, as we're going to get into what's happened in the offseason so far. So the offseason Cardinals need a closer. They need a big bat that teams fear. And they already kind of made a move for a starter. But we'll talk about what they need, but we're going to talk about what they got first. So they actually traded Aledmus Diaz December 1st, this is the 6th now, so today I'm recording this. So last Friday, Diaz was traded to the Blue Jays for outfield prospect J.B. Woodman. My reaction to the trade was not the best. I had a feeling Aledmus would be traded, but I wasn't sure who for who and to where. And he was traded to Toronto for JB Woodman. I think Diaz is a great fit for the Blue Jays, considering Tulowitzki's getting older and he's been unhealthy, and Devin Travis has just not been good last season. And Diaz is a very versatile guy. As you can see here, he plays second, third, and short. I think he's going to be a nice fit for Toronto. Sucks to see him go, but this man took him over. So, how do I feel about the return? JB Woodman was a straight up deal. I mean, Diaz, it's not like he was getting paid that much. I don't know what his actual salary was. I believe it was like 2 mil, because the game doesn't have the exact salaries, but I think it was like 2 mil or something like that. And it's not that much, so we lose a little salary. But yeah, JB Woodman. I mean, it could have been a worse return. It could have been a lot better return. JB Woodman was ranked the Blue Jays number 28th top prospect on the top 30. He's not. I looked at where he ranks on the Cardinals. He's not in the top 30, so I don't know exactly where he ranks. Cardinals have such a good farm system. I mean, they've acquired so many names in the last year, really. So that's the interesting thing about the Cardinals. This is one of the biggest names we've acquired for Marco Gonzalez to Seattle. But yeah, I think the Cardinals uh, might have made a good trade there. I think it was because of roster space, because yesterday, December 5th, the Cardinals acquired Mike Mikolas, who was drafted by the Padres. He once was in the Pirates organization. And then the Rangers signed him to a 1-year deal in 2014. He was not good, but he had 2 really good starts, because I did some research in him. He had 2 really good starts and his only 2 career wins with in the majors with Texas. He went to Japan and played with the, I don't know, but there's a team called the Giants. I don't know the city or whatever. But it's a popular Japan team, but I don't know if they're that good. But some of the numbers that he had last year with the Giants, or last season, he was 14-8 with a 2.25 ERA, and he was second in the Japan League, or just that league in ERA. I don't know too much about that league. All I know is what he put up in the numbers. And Japan has some really good hitters. Obviously, the major leagues are completely different. Different hitters, different pitchers, different ways that they work. But I think he revamped himself. We are paying him around 7.5 million. Sorry guys, I have like little hiccups. We're paying him a lot of money. Got him on a 2-year deal. I think he'll be an innings eater, maybe kind of like a Lance Lynn. His stuff isn't overpowering, but I think it's a nice ad. To kind of wait for guys like Flaherty and Hudson and possibly Alcantara. I'll talk about more of these prospects. Gomber. We have a lot of them. A lot of potential guys who can come up to the majors and pitch. But yeah, we don't have many veterans with Lynn gone, so adding him would be nice. And then we obviously have Wainwright, who's about to run out of time. I think he's gonna be. I think this is his last year till he's a free agent. That's the interesting part about Wainwright. Is like, where's he gonna end up after 2018? I don't know. But anyways, that's what's happened so far. How do I feel about the Mikolas deal? I like it. He's not in the game, obviously, but I think it's a good ad for the Cardinals. He's going to compete for a rotation spot. I don't like that, though, because, like, you're paying him a lot of money to compete for a spot. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think he should get it no matter what. I don't want him to struggle, obviously, but we got that. Now, what the Cardinals need to do this offseason, I think a lot of you guys know about the good old Giancarlo Stanton trade that might happen. So San Francisco Giants and the St. Louis Cardinals have both made a framework with the Marlins. They have a deal set in place for Stanton. All we know is that Stanton is in control where he lands. If he wants to go to St. Louis, he can accept, and the trade that the Cardinals offered, that would go to Miami. It's vice versa for the Giants, same way. Um, he accepts the trade of the Giants, and then the package the Giants offered would go to Miami. But it's ultimately up to Stanton. He is from California, and that is a big thing to note here. He wants to play on the West Coast, So the Giants, they're on the West Coast, but he wants to play for the Dodgers. If this was the Dodgers making an offer, he'd no doubt accept. Dodgers have a good farm system. Dodgers are ready to compete now, and it's on the West Coast. But it's not the best fit for the Dodgers because of payroll, and because they don't really need him. They really don't. But ultimately, if they want to go for him, they can probably land him. That's my concern as a Cardinal fan, and Giants fans should be concerned as well. Now we're going to go to the Giants here. I don't know exactly what they offered the second time around, but I do know their first offer consisted of Chris Shaw, Joe Panic, and Tyler Beatty, and obviously a lot of money for Stan and D. Gordon. I don't think that's the case now. I don't know if D's involved, but that was the original trade. Now for the Cardinals, I've heard a lot of rumors. The only thing I know for sure is Sandy Alcantara is involved. Um, which I really like. Sandy is, I thought he maybe could be like a lights out closer. So I do feel like he's going to be traded no matter what. I feel like he's the guy that the Cardinals are going to be looking to trade. I think they should try to trade Hudson because he's so good last year. A lot of teams would be interested. And I think we could go without him. But we need more electric arms, like a Martinez type and a Reyes, and that's Alcantara. Speaking of Alex Reyes, I'm hoping he has a big part of next season. But yeah, anyways, that's the Stanton thing going on here. And it's so confusing. Stanton could decide to go to St. Louis, which would be big. He could decide to go to San Francisco. San Francisco wouldn't be a bad fit because they'd have a good chance to contend. They're in an Ohtani, and he stands on the West Coast, but they have a terrible farm. Their team is aging, and the Cardinals here, they're ready to contend. They're young. He would he would be the best player on the team, no doubtably, on the Cardinals. You know, have an outfield Pham Fowler and Stanton would be nice. I like it. I hope he comes here, but anything can happen. He might stay in Miami and wait till next offseason to see if he can go to LA, which, I mean, if he really wants to contend, he'd go to one of these two teams. I think staying in Miami is a stupid decision. Um, there might be a mystery team that comes out of nowhere and tries to get him. But yeah, that's all we know about Stanton so far. Um, Now, the Cardinals need a plan B, and there are multiple options the Cardinals could look at. A lot of people are saying going back to Miami. Miami and St. Louis could still talk if Stanton decides to stay in Miami, or excuse me, or if he decides, or if he goes to LA, or if he decides to go to San Francisco. I don't think LA is going to make an offer. But this man right here, Christian Yelich, I believe he's got a 4-year deal, is the guy that the Cardinals could be interested in. He is currently 26. So if the Cardinals were to pick up Christian Yelich, they'd have him through 2021. He's a young outfielder. Like I said, he's only 26. He'd be the second youngest player in the starting lineup, which says a lot because most of our youth comes from the pitching side. He'd be the second youngest behind Paul DeJong. Um, but you look at his stats in the game, as you could tell what the game shows him, really good hitter contact wise. He's a really good fielder and he can run. He's not the fastest runner, but he's a good base runner. The reason I bring this up is because the Cardinals did not have the best defense last year, and they did not have the best base running. Pham brought a lot of base running. Fowler's an okay runner. Molina's a good runner, but he's slow. We don't have any fast guys, but not only is Yelich fast, he's still about 15 plus stolen bases, but he's a good base runner in general. He doesn't have to be quick, but he is pretty fast. He's just a good base runner. Now you notice he doesn't have much power. He did hit, I believe, 18 home runs last year with 81 RBIs. So our team leader in RBIs last year is Molina with 82. So he's not the impact bet. Some people are complaining about, oh, why would he be our plan B? I think he would be our plan B because I think he's just an all-around really good player. He can still hit the ball out of the park. He has really good contact. He'd be a nice player. And to me, he just fits the Cardinals. Yeah, he's not Stan. He's not going to drive in 100. He's not going to hit 30 bombs. But to me, he's a good fit. And obviously, the Cardinals, there's also been rumors that they could look at Ozuna. There was rumors last year at the deadline that the Cardinals might go for him. He's a good fielder. He can't run very much. He only had one stolen base last year, and he's a really good hitter. The issue with Ozuna is that his contract is half of what Yelich has. He only has 2 years on his contract. Ozuna only has 2 years. He's a year older. He's not the best base runner. And his fielding's good, but he's kind of vulnerable to injuries. Last year, all three of the outfielders are pretty healthy, which is why I believe the Marlins came in second place in the division, because their outfielders are pretty healthy, and that's what really carries the team. So that's the interesting part here. So these are our plan Bs. I I also think that we go to over to Kansas City. I think Hosmer could be an option. He's going to be 28. Maybe sign him to a 5, 6 year deal, 100 something million. Um, he's a Gold Glove caliber player. He hit. I think he drove in 94 RBIs last year. He almost had 200 hits. He hit 25 home runs. I think he'd be nice to put at first base, move Carpenter to third, have Jerko be the versatility guy that Diaz I thought might have been, and Jerko would have been at third base, but I don't know. They could do that. They could go over to uh, where are they at? They could go over to the White Sox and maybe get Abreu. Obviously, he is offense on offense, not the best defender. You don't expect the first baseman to be fast. And the last option is Josh Donaldson, which I don't see this happening because he's got 1 year in his contract. He isn't exactly cheap either to get. So I think the plan Bs for the Cardinals should be Yelich and Hosmer. I'm not the biggest fan of Ozuna because it's 2 years. And then there's one more guy I forgot, and he's one of the biggest free agents on the market, and that's JD Martinez. A lot of offense, not the best fielder, but he's got a good arm. He's only going to be 30. I think he should end up in San Francisco, in my opinion. I think he'd be a good fit for them because they don't have to deplete their farm completely. Uh, he wants around 200 million, and he's got Scott Boras as an agent, but I don't think he's going to get that much. I'm thinking around the 150 mark. But yeah, I think JD, Yelich, and Hosmer should be the Cardinals' backup options. And if neither of those work out, then maybe you look at Ozuna or Abreu, maybe even Donaldson. Worst comes to worst, you go to Cargo or Jay Bruce. So that's it for the offensive side. Now I want to get into the defensive side, or not defensive, pitching side of things. So there's a team that the Cardinals might be looking at here, and that's the Tampa Bay Rays. And this guy, their best player on the game at least, Chris Archer, could be a potential trade target for the Cardinals. I think he's got 4 years on his contract in real life. It says 4 years on the game. I think he has 4 years in real life. I'm not sure. Might be 3. I don't know. But Chris Archer is the kind of guy that teams need. We talk about the bats. The Cardinals need the bat that teams threat. You know, you look at the teams that are in the playoffs. The Astros, they had Altuve, Springer, Correa. The Dodgers had Bellinger, Turner, Taylor. You had teams like the Cubs with Rizzo, with Ryan and Bryant and Rizzo. You had the Nationals with Murphy, Zimmerman, Rendon, Harper. You have the Yankees with Judge and Sanchez. Cleveland with Lindor and Kipnis. They had Santana, Ramirez, who came third for MVP, and so on and so on. You get the gist of it. I didn't mention those things with the bats. Stanton would be a nice fit. You know, I mentioned the other. You know, JD might be that guy, but I mentioned Hosmer and Yelich. Are those the bats that you're scared to face? Not necessarily, but you don't need that. I think it's a big part of it, but if you have a well-rounded team, look at the 2015 Kansas City Royals. They didn't have that big name. They didn't have the Judge, Stanton, Trout, Harper. But you know what they did have? They had a well-rounded team. And the Cardinals can have that, but I do think they need another big bat. I mean, you think about it, the Royals have Moustakas, Kane, Haas, Zobrist, Cueto, and they won the World Series. But I mentioned Johnny Cueto. They picked him up, an ace caliber player. Now, he didn't perform like they would, but he was still good. And he helped them get to where I think without him, they might not have won. Chris Archer could be that guy for the Cardinals. He's going to be 29. He's effective. He's very good. He's electric. He'd be our ace, I believe. I don't think Martinez would, but hey, I don't know. Obviously, he'd cost a lot, and if you were at Alex Colomé, which I think who I think the Cardinals should get no matter what, led the league in saves. Once again, he's only going to be 29 as well. He was an all-star. I don't know how many years he has. According to the game, he's a free agent, which that's not true. So I don't know how many years he has. I think it's probably somewhat club friendly. But yeah, I think Alex Colomé, Chris Archer trade could happen. I don't know if we're going to go for another starter. So I think in a perfect off season, at least get a bat and then get a guy like Alex Colomé to close games. And maybe bring Juan Nicasio back or Brandon Kinsler in or Addison Reed. There's options. Brian Shaw, Brandon Morrow. There's plenty of reliever options out there. So as for that, I went over the hitters they could go for. I listed these two guys. I don't know what else the Cardinals could really go for. Um, Maybe some of the first base DH kind of guys like Morrison, Alonso. Maybe one of those guys could be interesting. Maybe bringing Matt Adams back. They could be interested in bringing in a veteran starter still, like a Lackey, Garcia, Dickey, Peavy. I don't know any of those guys. Chatwood, I personally think would be a good fit. But in a perfect offseason to me, if I was the general manager, I would make a blockbuster trade with the Rays with Colomé and Archer, and then hope I get Stanton. If not, I go for a trade with Yelich. But let's just say that you land Stanton, because this would be the best offseason Cardinals can possibly get. Make a trade for a Colomé and Archer. You get that big rotation guy, big starter. You get the big closer. You get the big bat. Sign Hosmer. And just bring back Nicasio to be a setup guy. That's a perfect offseason. The only issue with that is the money would be insane with Archer, Hosmer, and Stanton all added. Colomé is somewhat cheap. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think they should go get a reliever, a closer, and a bat at least. They already got a starter. So that's what I think the Cardinals should do. What they're going to do, it depends on Stanton at this point. If they get Stanton, they might focus on getting Colomé and signing another reliever. That could be it, which is not little. You think of what they did last year. They only signed Fowler and Cecil and then traded Garcia for prospects. So it's not like they did that much last year. I think if you're a Cardinal fan and if you really like guys like Piscotty and Grichuk, don't be shocked if at least one of these guys are traded. Some of the outfield depth might be traded. The pitching depth might be traded. And if I talked about the trade with Martinez, Alcantara, and Waka possibly being involved with Stanton. If that's the case, the Cardinals might add a Chatwood to the rotation or an Archer. Because at that point you have Martinez, Wainwright, Weaver, Mikolas, and then you're probably going to have to throw in Flaherty in there. Or Hudson, I don't know. Gomber most likely, I'd think, but we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. If you guys want me to go over the free agents and put where I think each free agent's going to go, I can do a video like that. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think the Cardinals should do in the comments section below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.